In my mind there's a face, on my lips there's a name. In my life there's no place for the man that I love. Sorry, but I'm living my life just to sing and be free. From LA to New York, from New York to LA.
From New York to LA. From New York to LA. From New York to LA. From New York to LA. I'm a star in New York. I'm a star in LA. In my life, there's no place for the man that I love. 'Cause I'm living my life just to sing and be free. From LA to New York, from New York to LA. From New York to LA. The city life of flashing lights, busy streets and fancy cars, booze and drugs and all the clubs. Everyone's a shining star. But so inviting to my eyes that I could only be surprised by all the sounds and sights to see. I thought all this was meant for me. But was it really meant for me? I'm a star in New York, I'm a star in LA. In my life, there's no place for the man that I love. 'Cause I'm living my life just to sing and be free. From LA to New York, from New York to LA. From New York to LA. The city lights are often blurred by stories we've already heard. Booze and drugs now break my head 'cause all the shining stars are dead. I sometimes close my tired eyes, let myself be hypnotized by memories of loving you, the man I thought was meant for me. But were you really meant for me? From New York to LA. From New York to
Wow. You know, I was going to just launch right into some Scott Joplin, but I am so moved by everybody. Thank you, Penny, Renee, Ellen, Valeli, Jane, Michelle. Who else did I see out there? Hi, Ruthie. Somebody who thanked Bob. I'm imagining Bob Egan, so thank you and welcome to the show. Eileen, I've missed you guys. I got choked up. I got teary-eyed. And I got to tell you something, too. I'm nervous tonight. I've been on the road doing this stuff. It's been incredible. My life has gone like upside down and over. Hey, YouTube Frank is here. Yo, YouTube Frank in the house. Call ya. Oh, my God. It's so fun. It's so fun. Well, tonight's program has been rescheduled by love for my friends here at VPB. No, I promise. We're going to do some Joplin tonight. I thought that was the greatest way to sort of jump back in. And thank you. It has music notes. Thank you, Eileen and Michelle. And everybody, I know I missed some people, and I hate that, but you just keep saying hi. Heather's with us tonight, and that makes everything fun for all of us because she keeps your comments coming at me, and you know I go back and I look. And Kathy, hi, Kathy. Yes, I saw you too. Thank you for being here. Donna Cruson, Renee, yay. And Jackie, I saw Jackie too, yes. Oh, thank you. See, Heather's the best. She helps me out here so much. And so, yes, I have so many things to tell you about my life that have changed, but I'm not going to launch into that right now. I'm going to thank you for joining me. And hi, Kimberly. Oh, Kimberly, I'm playing piano tonight. I went to school with Kim and at the conservatory. And I know you're all very, very sad that I'm not going to sing tonight. Yeah, you're spared. I'm gonna play, and we're gonna sort of have a little sort of a little parlor. Hi, Vincent, with me and Scott Joplin. So I am going to be playing some of these things from the iPad score. I would love to do at some point. Hi, James. I plan to do an entire concert and travel with Scott Joplin music. But I wanted to be able to do it justice, and I want to sort of have the reference points. So, and it's a free show, so I'm going to do it. But hey, listen, guys, also, as you saw, you can press that share button. Oh, thank you, Hildy, for sharing. Hi, Hildy. Please share. You know, I have to say thank you so much for all of your tips, all of your donations. I really appreciate them. I am now a full-time musician, actor who does not have a day job. I no longer have a day job. You and the world and the stage and my students and the people I coach. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, Cheryl in North Carolina. This is my job now. I am now jobless. So I appreciate everything that you do donate. As you know, during the pandemic, anything that you donated, I donated to artists. I gave it back to the VPB. I gave it to all my friends out of work. Thank you. I'm so excited about it too. But yes, now I've got to keep a little of it, and I really appreciate it. I want to say thank you in advance. Michelle, you are always so generous. And Diana Beatty, I know you and Cecilia are probably here. Thank you for tipping me this afternoon in advance, so I better get right down to it. If you can't tip, I don't care. You being here means everything to me, and pressing the share button. Do the share tricks because it gets the word out. We're not going away here at the VPB. So let's enjoy a little Scott Joplin. I love Scott Joplin. He's really been one of the biggest influences on my life. So I have my notes, too, that I'm going to refer to. You know, he was born in Texarkana, Arkansas, November 24, 1868. For those of you who know me, that makes him about 100 years exactly older than I am. He was the second of 6 children born to Giles Joplin, who was a former slave from North Carolina, and Florence Givens, who was a freeborn African-American woman from Kentucky. Now, of course, he was an African-American composer and pianist, and the Joplins were a musical family of railway laborers. He loved classical music. He actually studied with a German Jew who lived in Arkansas, came over, and it was a really, really interesting combination. And he taught piano, he taught guitar and mandolin. He started his own vocal group with 4 youths. So he was musical even in a working railway laborer family. And of course, as I've put on my ads and everything, he's also known as the king of ragtime. I think we all know that. I mean, nobody is more famous for ragtime than Scott. And of course, ragtime music was born out of the African American communities. So I think that's something we know. He achieved his fame because of his ragtime compositions. And of course, during the late 1880s, just like me, he left his job as a railway worker, laborer, and he traveled the American South as an itinerant musician. I'm going to see what an itinerant musician does. Maybe I'll travel the American South. I kind of do. Anyway, they like Liberace in the South. And of course, he went to the Chicago World Fair of 1893, which played a major part in making ragtime a national craze by 1897. Pretty cool, huh? So tonight I'm going to play 8 of my favorite rags. There's about 20 others that I really, really love too, but we can't do that. Maybe Joplin too. But I also want to celebrate the artwork, the covers of the sheet music that was published. I think they're just as historic as some of the pieces. And I'll be telling you little bits and pieces about the pieces and about Joplin, but I'm not going to talk all night. We're going to do lots of music. But I thought tonight we would start with probably the one that everybody knows the most famous, and what gave ragtime its popularity. That is, of course, The Entertainer. And look, there is the original sheet music cover. They're beautiful. I had Heather upload them so that we could, share and take a look at them. They're really, really beautiful, beautiful pieces of artwork. And many of them actually determine the titles of the songs. So in 1902, it was his first, it was first sold as sheet music. And then it was piano rolls in 1910 for player piano. So that little thing I just played was like a little player piano roll. A lot of his music was that. And of course, 1973, The Sting made the song The Entertainer international hit sensation. And Marvin Hamlish played it in the film. Marvin Hamlish's recording of the song hit the Billboard top 3. And that was in May of 1974 for The Entertainer, which people also call The Sting. And he also won the Oscar for Best Song and Score Adaptation. So thanks to the movie and that, Joplin's music had a major resurgence and reinvigoration in the 70s. Because basically when Scott Joplin died, ragtime died too. So we're going to go back in time a little bit, and I'm going to play some Scott Joplin for you. Thanks for being here. We're going to start with The Entertainer. I'm also going to try and play in the style and tempos that this music is meant to be played in, which is, as most of you know, not my style. The music is so beautiful. It's fun, it's festive, but there's a beauty to it, and when you play it too fast, nothing is ever to be played too fast. You miss some of the subtleties and the nuances. We'll talk about the structure of it a little bit, but I'm going to play now. Down, boy. The Entertainer. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that piece. Love it. Well, so in 1894, Scott Joplin moved to Sedalia, Missouri, and he actually earned a living as a piano teacher. He taught future ragtime composers Arthur Marshall, Scott Hayden, and Brune Campbell, all of whom he wrote pieces with, too. He began publishing music in 1895, and the publication of The Maple Leaf Rag in 1899 brought him fame. The piece actually had a very profound influence on writers of ragtime, and it also brought him a steady income for life, though he did not ever in his career reach that level of success again, and he frequently had financial problems. In fact, in 1901, when he moved to St. Louis, he continued to compose and publish regularly, and he really, like I said, loved classical music. He wanted to be a classical composer. He wanted to be taken seriously, but in late 1800s, early 1900s, an African-American man just wasn't taken seriously that way, and especially in the sort of niche of ragtime that he had developed. But he did write a couple of operas, and his very first opera was called A Guest of Honor. Sad story about that. It was confiscated in 1903. It was confiscated with all of his belongings for non-payment of bills. And the score to Guest of Honor is considered lost forever. So it's never been found again. He did do another opera that was never fully staged in his career, but kind of sad. But there's happy things in his music. And the next one that I'd like to talk about is called The Pineapple Rag. And it's got I love that album cover, the sheet music cover. And these things are written, pineapple, not one word. All of the things are written out, and it's a very interesting sort of style. So this was one of his finer compositions, actually, though nowhere near as popular as Maple Leaf Rag or The Entertainer. But it has some surprisingly rich melodies and a very athletic bass. It's slightly slower tempo than the others, and it has a little bit of a tropical accent to it. And as you know, ragtime is it's a great left-hand workout. It's complicated, yet it's accessible. People can play it. Even, younger students can play it. So I'd like to play now The Pineapple Rag. It is fun to to the technology. I'm sorry about that. The technology messed with me, and I had to mess up the song. Technology is not my friend, but the paper. I have the old book, and the pages just don't. It's why we memorize things. But so moving on to this lovely, lovely piece called Solace. It's one of my favorites. Oh, Maxine Maiocco's here, the lady who helped pay for my piano lessons. Hi, Mom. So we're going to move on to Solace, which is a beautiful 1909. It's a habanera. And though it's labeled a Mexican serenade, the influences are actually more Cuban. It's a habanera and a tango. It is, I think, very well known. People tend to know this one, and I love it. I love it. It's got such a lovely, lilting melody, and it's been recorded with orchestras and things, and it's gorgeous, but in its original form, it's equally gorgeous. Hashtag cheers. Are you enjoying the Joplin? Are you enjoying it? I am too. I really, really, really am. Struggling with, hi Tracy. Hello, hello. It is really beautiful music. So, he did, Joplin in 1907 moved to New York City because he wanted to find a producer for his opera Tremonisha. I think I met a girl named Tremonisha when I was down south. I don't know. But it was never fully staged in his lifetime. So kind of sad. He was never recognized for his classical writing. But you can hear the sort of influences. It's not all just ragtime. He's very melodic in some of his stuff. It really is wonderful music. Moving on to the next piece, which I just think is adorable. It's called Swipesy. Swipesy, yes. Now, of course, it was written in 1900 by Scott and his student, Arthur Marshall. Of course, now, Scott wrote the trio. So when I explain to you the bits of a rag, it has an A, a B, a C, and a D section. So there's like 4 different things. The C is often known as the trio. So when we get to some of the other pieces later, I'll explain where those are without making this too much of a music lesson for anybody. But if you're interested, it is very fascinating the way these are written. And the fact that with his students, he wrote some pieces. And this particular one, he wrote just the trio, and his student wrote the rest. But they couldn't come up with a title of it. They already had the artwork and this adorable little boy who was on the cover. And they brought in the artwork and the piece to the publisher. And the guy was like, oh my God, look at this kid. He's just, he's got this shy little grin. Looks like he just swiped something from the cookie jar. And of course, Joplin told a very different story, saying that he and Arthur were delivering the piece, and they saw 2 newsboys. This was a little newsboy on the cover. I forgot that, I left that part out. The 2 newsboys who were arguing because one of them had swiped one of the newspapers from the other one, and so that became Swipesy. But I realize, this is history. This is pieces of history. But, a lot of this stuff, when you look back at it, it was a different time. You think about Joplin's parents were slaves. A lot of this stuff, these names like Swipesy and pictures of little African-American children and calling them, it would not fly. So I wanted to be more inclusive, and I had the sheet music cover redone to show you the new Swipesy. Yeah, there I am. Oh, it's fun when you do your own little show, and we can just play around. So I'd like to play a little Swipesy. It is, good, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Kenneth. This is a cakewalk, which is known by its 16th and 8th note rhythms. And most of the piece is in cakewalk format, but the trio section is where Joplin wrote the piece. So the original, the main theme is very cakewalk. Joplin wrote the middle section, which is much more ragtime. So you'll kind of hear the differences, but Joplin certainly had his hand in the entire composition, as this was his student. Cute. Very, very, very cute. Yeah, I like the swipesy. Swipesy, swipesy. Doing a cakewalk. But you could hear that difference, that one little section, that left the and then the Joplin, Pretty interesting little subtleties in ragtime. So the next piece I'm going to play is called the Sunflower Slow Drag. And this is a 1901 work by Joplin and another one of his students, Scott Hayden, who, again, wrote all but the trio, I believe, in this piece. But Joplin always got top billing. He did. What are you going to do? And this one is this is fun. This is a really cool piece. It is, in my opinion, one of his better works. And I learned it when I was a teenager. And it's funny how much of it's still stuck in my hands, and then there's some that just isn't as much in my hands. But this piece has been described as full of gaiety and sunshine, just like me. I'm getting better with the technology. I know, isn't it gorgeous, Rachel? How are you, Rachel? It is beautiful. The artwork of this stuff is just something else. the sunflower slow drag. Yes. Oh, Fatima. Fatima. I love that name. It's beautiful. Oh, well, I could try. I have multiple personalities. Okay, so this next one is really special to me. I actually played this one for my college auditions, I think. I'm not sure, but it's worthy of a classical college conservatory audition. That's how good his writing is. And this one particularly showcases his classical feel and the waltz. This is a ragtime waltz. Now this piece is a big grand ragtime waltz, and it's called Bethina. Joplin and his first wife, Belle, they divorced after a really disastrous marriage that was underscored by the death of their infant daughter. Awful. Then he married his second wife, Freddie, in June of 1904. She died 10 weeks later from pneumonia. And this was the first piece that he wrote after Freddie's death. And it's great. It's got a lot of different sections. So a lot of these ragtimes, they have, an A, a B, a C, and a D. This has an A section that repeats, I think, 4 times. And it's got a B, a C, a D, and an E, and a coda, which is actually the A section repeating. But this has some beautiful lilting melodies, and there's a particular favorite part of it in the middle where it goes into the key of B minor, and it's absolutely eerily haunting. And I have to keep myself in check so that I don't overindulge and just really schmaltz it up. But it's haunting and it's beautiful. So this is beautiful Bethina, a concert waltz. It's a pretty beautiful piece, I think. It's really one of my favorites too. They're all my favorites. It's like I can't decide. Oh, I love you guys. Love you, love you. Yeah, I only got a couple of more because this time goes so quickly when you're having fun. And please remember to follow the Virtual Piano Bar on our Facebook page. Please, everybody, say hi and thank you to Heather. Love you, Heather. It's so fun being back here with you. Really appreciate everything that you do. And I will be back next week with Sue Matsuki. You know Sue. And she's doing a show at 54 Below, Feinstein's 54 Below in a little bit. And thanks. There's kisses and hugs from Heather. And Archie and Stu. We love you guys. So Sue's going to be here to delight us with a couple of tunes. And I'm going to play now. This is my favorite. I swear this one has always been my favorite. I always wanted to play this. My piano teacher let other people in the studio play this one. I played a bunch of others. I got the more obscure ones, but this is the one I wanted to play. And it's one of his most famous. It's not his most famous. It's probably his third most famous, but it's my favorite. And it's called The Easy Winners. It has my favorite ragtime melody theme of all times in it. So it's a 1901 piece. And the title of it basically refers to athletes. If you can see on the sheet music cover, it's got baseball and sports and all that stuff. And it refers to athletes who are supposed to win a sporting event without much, trouble or difficulty. That's the whole point of it. And so it's cool. It's got this easy, sort of jaunty theme. And it also has in the middle of it, right before the trio section, it has another intro, which is reminiscent of like the first horse call, like at a horse race, or kind of like it's in there to signal the trio of the piece. And then, of course, the last part, the D section, has this agitation and excitement of ragtime. And it doesn't remind me of sports. It reminds me of a smoky bar, with ragtime a-blaring. So without a further ado, The Easy Winners. Well, it's time to wrap it up. I got one more for you here. And of course, last note about Scott before I play this most famous rag of all. In 1916, descended into dementia due to neurosyphilis and died in the Manhattan State Hospital in 1917, January 17, at 48 years old. So, like I said before, ragtime died when he did. And it wasn't until the 70s, and it wasn't until the Sting that this sort of resurgence came about, and he became popular and is in living rooms and on virtual variety hours for everybody. And of course, so the Maple Leaf Rag, right? We got to do the Maple Leaf Rag. Got to finish with it. This one's the hardest for me to play because I like to play it at the speed of light, and it's not meant to be played at the speed of light. So I'm going to try to hold off. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so this was 1899. This was his earliest and his most famous. And this is the one that gave him an income for life, even though he still struggled financially. But this was associated with Sedalia in Missouri, where he moved. He played in the clubs. He was making his living as a piano player for dance parties in these clubs, and most notably a club called the Maple Leaf Club. And this music sort of just gave him this captured to him the feeling of what was going on in the clubs and the excitement. And he did tell Arthur Marshall, one of his students, he said that he predicted the Maple Leaf Rag would make him the king of ragtime. And it did. It really did. It's one of the most difficult ones to play, and it only has 3 sections. And so I'm going to close out with a little Maple Leaf Rag. I love you guys. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week with Sumatsuki. So a little Maple Leaf Rag. I can't help myself.